So it's all for play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hi, villains, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. It's Neil and Paddy back again, and we've left this the bones of 24 hours after Liverpool snatched victory from the jaws of a draw against Aston Villa in Anfield yesterday. And I know that maybe some of you guys would have seen me on the Villa View last night, but I can't say that I was in the best of form after the game. Probably not for the same reasons as a lot of people, but it was just one of those games yesterday, and I think maybe even in the aftermath and looking at the way that the game went, certain things that happened in the game, I think has me feeling a small bit more down about aspects, as I say, but maybe not the same aspects. Before we get into it, Paddy, how are you doing today? What's the prognosis on yesterday's game?
Yeah, I'm actually very deflated, and I can't. For the life of me, I can't put my finger on one thing alone that's making me deflated. We'll go through it, I suppose, in a minute. But yeah, it feels like a point dropped. I didn't particularly think we played too badly. I'm not down on the team. I'm more down on what happened throughout the course of the day, and feeling a bit down for Trezeguet today, and the prognosis doesn't look good on his injury, so just wish him a speedy recovery, because it looks like we're going to be missing him for a long time now.
Remind me to get back to that, because I think that in the cold light of day after the defeat yesterday is a big talking point. I think that we need to discuss a couple of little things there, especially the injuries that we had yesterday and how that will affect our season going forward, especially the positions that they were in. So let's talk about the game ourselves. We had our team sheet tantrum before the game, and I think we were all pretty much in agreement with the actual starting 11. The guys that were on the podcast that were here and that were with us live. Yes, so we're probably talking about maybe Keenan Davis might have deserved a shot, but I think all in all, pretty okay with the team that Dean Smith started. And look, to call a spade a shovel here, guys, we went 1-0 up, and maybe it was against the run of play, but we were defending pretty decently. I thought for long periods of the first half.
Yeah, I was. They more or less bossed the game for the first 30 minutes. I thought we found it very hard to get into it, but we were resolute. We were defending well. We got off the hook with one later on in the half. We'll get to that. But I had very little complaints about the team that was picked. We said it at the time, McGinn playing a bit further on and the two guys sitting a bit deeper. Liverpool's midfield didn't get much change out of them, in fairness, and they had to revert to type of going wide all the time. So we did quite well in that department. I was happy enough. There's a little or nothing I can complain about in the early exchanges, because remember, we're playing against the champions. Remember, they're a wounded cat that's. They were beaten heavily the other night by Real Madrid. They hadn't won in 6 at home. Actually, they'd lost all the previous 6. So they were always going to come in with their tails up. We held them well. I thought defensively we were sound. We had one bad mistake from Tyrone Mings early on. Leaving that aside, I thought we did pretty well. I suppose that's the earliest talking point of the game. I really didn't expect that yesterday. It was just way too casual. Disappointing, but we got away with one. On another day, Salah's putting that in the top corner, and we're punished for it. Like the same way we were punished for Mitrovic last week. So, after so many weeks of having no mistake in him, we've got two in 2 games now. So that did annoy me to start off with.
And I think that's fair enough, Paddy. I can understand there's a lot of people who are up in arms. So we were, actually, to be honest with you, a lot of times that they got clear-cut chances. We were the masters of our own downfall, like Bertrand Traore. That's the second or third time he's tried that from a throw-in our own half, and he's just tried this no-look, just fong is all I could describe it as, across the field, not even knowing if there's anybody there. It cannot be pre-planned. It cannot be pre-prescribed. It absolutely, like, it's literally 101. What do you not do? Play an absolute blind hit and hope. Not a percentages type pass in your own half from a throw. You just don't do it. Like, you just can't do it. And there was little bits like that. I think Nakamba had a loose pass or two. I could be misremembering that.
No, he did. Yeah, I distinctly remember two particularly bad ones he gave away, and that's fine. You know, he's doing the hard work. He's doing the donkey work. You're going to have a mistake or two, but there was so much time for Mings there. I don't understand why he made that mistake, but maybe last week was playing on his mind, and he just, you know, caught in two minds with it, and it's unexplainable really why he continues to do it. You just got to be, if that's playing on your mind, it's just got to be safety first. Get the ball down and lamp it down the pitch if needs be.
So we got our goal, which I thought was worked pretty well. You know, something that we've been looking forward to seeing, and people have been calling for an awful lot. John McGinn started in that role further forward. I know that there's a lot of discussion about McGinn. He starts like a train and then he fades out of the game. I think that was more so the fact that we actually did change formation, you know, throughout the game. In fact, I actually think we changed formation twice after we scored. But that's, you know, I don't have any statistics to back that up. But John McGinn picks up the ball and lays a nice pass through to Ollie Watkins, who cuts back, and Kabak and Phillips, neither of the two of them fully knew what they were going to do with it. And it opened up a shooting lane for Ollie Watkins, but neither of the two defenders were at fault for the goal. I think the goalkeeper needs to do better for that. Like, you know, for somebody who cost the amount of money he did, that was a bit of a soft one. It went in underneath his elbow. What do you think, Paddy?
Maybe a little bit unfair on the keeper. He got a lot of power behind it. I was delighted with the pass from John McGinn. I heard him being interviewed saying that Dean Smith had a bit of a go at him from shooting from range, so that was kind of ringing in his ears not to shoot, and he played it through to Ollie Watkins, who let's face it, hit it very well. Keeper didn't have much time to adjust. He got a hand to it, and it just wasn't enough. But take nothing away from Ollie Watkins. He knows where the goal is. He got the goal, and it looked like things were starting to turn in our favour. Then, I think everyone was buoyant and happy, and then we had another incident a couple of minutes later, which I presume was going to fill a lot of our time.
Talk to me about it. That VAR. Like, and let's be impartial here, because it was a lot of bollocks, to be honest with you. A lot of the stuff to do with that VAR, checking for the Matty Cash touch. I don't know what the story was. I was convinced, like you were, that rule was gone. That if the defender touches it now, that the other person is now played back on side. What happened to the Tyrone Mings thing? They clearly said that the interpretation of the rule was changed. If somebody can answer that to us, because we could be 100% wrong here. The confusion is real. But I genuinely think, and I genuinely was annoyed at that, and I've got text to prove it to people. That was a goal. That should not have been ruled out. And no, VAR is a joke shop. Like, we've just watched United there, and McTominay's goal gets ruled off for, you know, that incident whereby he's not even looking at where Son is. He's trying to go forward. He's trying to go forward in a running motion, and Son gets clipped in the face and in the eye. Completely not at all ruled. What are we doing? Frustrating.
Well, the most frustrating part, and I actually phoned you at halftime, which is something we don't normally do.
Never.
I've no idea what they're doing. We had the head of the referees come out and say that rule has been dealt with. They were even calling it the Tyrone Mings rule. I'm watching this replay, and I could in real time, the first replay, I thought he was offside. That was just to the naked eye, whatever. And then when they actually go to VAR, they're not looking at the offside. They're looking at whether Matty Cash got a touch on it or not. And I'm going, what is going on here? What? I just couldn't get my head around why they were looking at that and not looking at the offside. And it was just so frustrating to be sitting there and just Jamie Garrard didn't know the rules. The The commentator didn't know the rules. We like the day has to come that we're able to hear what VAR are saying. That they have to justify why they're making these decisions.
Yeah.
Because people don't know anymore. And you know, as a spectator sport, I believe that VAR is important for the game. The problem with VAR is the idiots that are running it. Like you in a past life as an architect, you're looking at lines that aren't even straight. Like, you know, to the naked eye, they're not running parallel.
That's probably the reason why I'm no longer involved in architecture, is because you can't have idiots putting lines in arbitrary places and drawing them straight and saying, look, this is exactly the way it should be. You know, it's mind-numbingly silly. They don't even zoom in on the photograph. It's pick a point where you think the end of his foot is, and then it's like, no, this is the arbitrary point of definition. And it's just so silly. Like, there's so many things wrong with VAR. It's literally so many things wrong with it that you just cannot figure out what the hell its use is anymore. Just other than to piss me and you and every other fan sitting at home, or when they're back in stadiums, off. Because when VAR is brought in for an instance like that, all that's going to happen is one fan base is going to be really upset. What it's supposed to do is stop fan bases being really upset, because it's supposed to be those magic words, clear and obvious. And there is nothing clear, absolutely nothing obvious. Even if it did touch Matty Cash and they said, oh, he was onside, no, I need to check it. There is nothing obvious about what happened. Yeah. So, rant again, probably. And the sad thing about it, Paddy, is we're 31 games into Villa played 30 games. And I would safely say 24 of the matches that we've played, we've had a genuine gripe about VAR for one reason or another. You know, and this isn't even for a Villa goal. This is for a goal that we should be going, this is fantastic. You know, this is great. We got away with one. And we did. And we wholly understand we got away with one. And look, we deserve the stroke of luck. But it's the game, the integrity of the whole thing is really beginning to piss me off.
Yeah. And we're going to discuss VAR later when we get to Trezeguet's injury. But for me, the whole offside rule is an absolute farce. They've got to go back to the days of, if part of your body is level, you're onside. That has to be the way forward, because these clowns and their interpretation of it, it just doesn't wash with me. You shouldn't have to draw a line to see if somebody's offside. If it's not visible from the naked eye, it shouldn't be offside. And bear in mind, this was a decision that went for us, and we're still annoyed about
that's what we're saying, and we're still giving out about it.
Proves that we can be impartial with VAR. But you know, people said to me today, "Oh, do you feel like you got away with one?" And I'm like, "Well, no. If they change the rules next season and it's different, then I might feel I got away with it. But how many times this season have we looked at decisions like that and had goals chalked off, or decisions that should have gone in our favour that didn't? If you've got to draw a line to see if a part of someone's body that they can't physically score with is offside, then there's something wrong with the game. And the something that's wrong is solely whatever interpretation these guys have of the game. I'm just still baffled that we looked at Matty Cash so many times. There must have been about 7 or 8 replays to see was the trajectory of the ball changed by Matty Cash getting a touch on it. And there's no logic or explanation for it. Nobody accountable for it. They tell us the rule has changed, and then they're checking the same rule again. It's just beyond belief. If someone is standing in an offside position, regardless of who it touches, they should be still offside. That's my opinion. That's the way it's always been growing up. So you telling me now that you've got to duck away from clearing a header in case you miss it, or in case it drops behind you, all because there's a fella standing in behind you that could be offside. It's just so many things to consider with it. It's just completely wrong.
Yeah. I think we better move on. I'm annoyed. So we get into halftime. Halftime is a great time. Actually, halftime is the most fantastic time. Because we were 1-0 up.
Apart from our phone call.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we were baffled, you know, and the phone call mostly revolved around the whole you know, I thought that rule was changed. Kind of line of questioning, which was that was it. We were trying to describe, like, have we gone mad? Did the whole Man City thing not happen? Because that's essentially, like, even if he does get the slightest of touch, it wasn't deliberately played. So therefore, it doesn't change the phase of play. That's my understanding of it anyway. And I'm sure that's what they came out and said at the same time. Yes, we've a guy here who was looking for, I don't know. It just makes absolutely zero sense to me. But anyway, halftime happened. Things were looking rosy at halftime, but we come back out and 57 minutes, Mo Salah gets his goal. I wasn't a big fan of this goal. It was wholly preventable. I think Martinez gets a decent touch in it. I'm not of the opinion, and I think they said it in the commentary, whereby, and I know that you're probably going to get commentary in a moment, but they said in the commentary that Martinez pushes it out maybe into a position he shouldn't have. But for me, Salah, like, that's the epitome of Tyrone Mings. Use your arse to keep Salah out of there. You cock your arse, you make yourself huge to get around. He just lost him. Unfortunately, he lost him.
And I'm not overly critical of him either. It was a momentary lapse and an element of ball watching, waiting to see where the ball's going to end up. I'm not critical of Martinez in the slightest, because the number one job he has to do is save the ball. And 9 times out of 10, he's catching ones he shouldn't be catching. So I've absolutely no problem with making save like that.
I'm not massively down on either of the two of them. It's just frustrating because, like,
it's frustrating in that it could have been helped, but it wasn't. Basically,
it's the big thing is you box out a player there. You box him out. You have a chance to actually hit him a rap of a shoulder, or land him into the back of the net. There's no referee going to give a penalty for it. None whatsoever. He had the ground in front of him, and what he did was he let him get around him. Now, maybe there is the trepidation there about, Jesus, VAR is definitely going to give a penalty, or knowing Salah, he's going to go down like a ton of bricks. I just think it would be very difficult to justify giving a penalty in that instance there from where Mings was, because he had the, I suppose, the right of way, if you're going to call it there. And look, I think that's a frustrating thing. I know I'm going to regret this kind of rant about it after I do the podcast. I'm not down on Mings. I just think that these little things, these are going to be the difference between pushing on next year for everybody in the team. These little lapses, the Bertrand Traore crossfield pass.
Let's be fair,
lapses from everybody, not just Mings, from everybody.
And I'm just going to say this now because we absolutely adore Ezri Konsa here, but when he came first, he had momentary lapses like that and did stuff like that.
Correct.
So he has rectified all of those decisions, and it's time for Tyrone just to sort that out now. And I'm not going in hard on him. I'm just saying that Ezri Konsa could change his game and make sure these things don't happen. It's a split second. It's a split second, and you're dealing with one of the best strikers in the world. You've just got to get in, shepherd him out, keep him out of the way of the ball. And it just didn't happen, unfortunately. And it happened so quick. We're probably being a little bit too critical.
That's it, yeah, and we probably are. And it's okay for us to have that rant and then turn around and say, like, I know that I'm probably a bit hot under the collar talking about it now, and I will feel, Jesus, I'm not going in. Tyrone Mings is a fantastic player. We're not saying drop him at any stage. We're not saying the club needs to sell him. Absolutely not. Fantastic player, a leader in the dressing room. Absolutely someone we want to continue to build with this club. And as you say, it came to him, and then I suppose it came to him so quickly. And the second piece is, yes, you are dealing with one of the best strikers in the world, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm struggling for reasons, I think, and it's going to be the difference, and I think we can learn from it. But these little pieces are going to be the difference between winning and losing as the games go on and as the years go on with us in the Premier League, or us pushing on towards this to position 6, 7, or even 4 or 5, within the league. So no, look, it was a frustrating one to give away because it was almost out of nothing. It was a snapshot in the edge of the area, palmed away, and then all of a sudden it was in the back of the net. Bit of a deflator, I think that's what it was. But we went on to make 2 substitutions after that. Paddy, in Ross Barkley came on from Nakamba in 56 minutes. No known injury to Nakamba at all. I was a bit surprised by that, but I think that Dean Smith maybe wanted to go a small bit more attacking What did you think of that? Look, we're never going to sit here and say, yes, Ross Barkley was 100% the right pick, but I think when you're trying to keep a system, bringing McGinn back and playing Ross Barkley, everyone's familiar in the positions they're going to be in. And I'm not sure Nakamba was the man to bring off, I suppose, really was my only thing there. But I don't pan the substitution. Like, I don't think it was a horrible substitution.
Well, I'm not panning the substitution. It wouldn't have been the substitution I'd make in that position for the reason you just said. I didn't think Nakamba or Luis, that should have been changed. We weren't chasing the game. It was 1-1. I didn't think there was any need for panic or such a drastic change that two positions are affected. And I thought probably a bit unfair on John McGinn to be asked to completely change his game again mid-game. For me, if he was going to bring on Barkley, maybe it should have been McGinn that came off, if that's what he wanted to do. And, you know, Barkley has obviously played his way into the plans. He obviously has done something in training. I say it every week. We're not seeing what's going on behind the scenes. He obviously felt he deserved to go and put him in there. Didn't do a whole pile for me. Didn't do enough.
No.
I'm not going in even into a conversation about him because I'm kind of done with him now at this stage. I said it in a previous podcast. Like the next two substitutions really put us on the back foot. I thought losing, like we lost Traore a couple of minutes later, and then El Ghazi come on, and then what are we looking at? 82 minutes when Trezeguet got the injury. At which time they brought on Mane, who was beginning to get a bit of a foothold in the game as well. Exactly.
Yeah. And I get something out, like, this is why I'm not going to say annoyed with the game. That this is what's put me in, I suppose, a small bit of bad form is that we have injuries to Jack Grealish and Morgan Sanson, okay, and then we have injuries to Bertrand Traore and to Trezeguet on the field, and I think Dean Smith like for me, Dean Smith made the substitutions he probably had to make in those two instances.
Yeah.
At that stage, we're 1-1. We're in the 82nd minute. Calling for Keenan Davis to be brought on and for us to absolutely chase the game and go and try and beat Liverpool in Anfield when we've had a 1-goal lead chalked out. Every manager is going to try and have what we hold. Probably, I think, if I'm going to be critical with bringing in Ramsey at that stage, is why didn't we bring in a third defender or Ahmed El Mohamedi or something like that and really shut up shop if we were going to go for it. But I believe in Ramsey. I tweeted at the time, he's a tank. He comes on, he backs himself. Like,
you have to have a small bit of admiration for the guts of making that decision as well. Because he obviously felt they were there for the taking, and they were there for the taking.
But Paddy, the thing is there, like the people are annoyed that he didn't even go more attacking with Keenan Davis. That's what I tend to feel. I might be wrong on this, but I think that's where the anger came from on Twitter. Baffling, like I've seen people say baffling substitutions. Why didn't he bring on Keenan Davis? And I'm going, we were 8 minutes away from, well, actually, realistically, we were about 90 seconds away from getting a draw in Anfield. And if we get a draw in Anfield, I don't think anybody's any problem with the substitutions.
No.
But bringing on Keenan Davis and going 4 in midfield when we're struggling with 5 in midfield, because essentially we did play 4-5-1 for the majority of the second half.
Yeah.
We were struggling with 5 in midfield, we were getting played through. Bringing on Keenan Davis, yes, I know he might hold up the ball, but we weren't even getting the ball up there at that stage. Yeah. I don't know. And everybody's entitled to, I'm not out about anything. That's just my view on it. The Ross Barkley one, I'm not sure I want that substitution made anymore. But we're in a hole now. We're going to be missing Trezeguet for the rest of the season. We're going to be missing Jack Grealish until the middle of May, predominant like for the next, let's call it 2 or 3 games. Bertrand Traore could be missing for a couple of games. He had his poorest game, I think, in a Villa shirt yesterday. Yeah. He just nothing happened for him. Didn't do it. Stayed out in the wing. Just wasn't for him. We might be looking at Jaden Philogene Bides.
I hope so.
Coming in there, which is going to be fantastic.
Yeah,
I want to play him now. Yeah. We're in a situation where we play these guys, I think.
I think so. I think now is the time to see how good they are, and if they're good enough, they're old enough, they're good enough, or whatever way that phrase goes. But throw them in there. You know, I'm more than happy to see how good they are at this stage. I think it will take a minor miracle for us to end in the European positions. So why not? It doesn't look like we're going to see Jack back in the next couple of games either. You're only reading between the lines. I don't want to give too much away. I completely get that as well. So use the guys to do the job, see how good they are. If they're good enough, keep them around the first team squad. If they're still a bit soft, send them out on loan and let them get a bit of experience around the lower leagues. But we'll get on to Trezeguet, I suppose, and the injury that he picked up. We haven't had any confirmation yet, but unofficially they're saying it could be an ACL injury, which is
coming out of Egypt. It says that it's an ACL injury.
It's a tough one to take, and what makes it even tougher is it was a foul from behind in the box. It was barely even looked at. I'm not even sure VAR did look at it. It was enough contact for him to cause an injury, and
Harry Kane got a penalty for it.
It was more of a penalty than Harry Kane's one, from what I could see. And you're just asking yourself, if this is Salah or Mane at the other end, there'd be uproar. Jamie Carragher would be hanging out over the stand roaring at the referee. That's how much of a bloody joke this is. So, we have to call out the referee and VAR to explain themselves and go, why was this not even looked at? Is it Sky that aren't showing us these replays? Is it them that have made the decision? Oh, hang on a minute. If we keep showing the replay here, the VAR guy is going to pick up on it. I've honestly no idea. I'm absolutely bereft of any idea as to why that wasn't checked. Because to me, it looked like he clipped him from behind, stonewall penalty, not even checked.
I don't know. I'm just more kind of.
I read some. The only one against that I read, somebody said he just stumbled, but we don't know. We're not showing the replays. A guy's gone off with an injury because of this tackle, and it's not even checked properly, and that just fucking baffles me, to be honest.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, look, I just wish him all the best. I hope he comes back stronger.
Absolutely.
We need everybody we can absolutely get at the moment. We literally need bodies, because we're decimated with injuries up there, and it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. Maybe we see a change of formation. Absolutely, maybe we do. Maybe we see 3 at the back, and maybe we go with something like that. Actually, I actually think Matty Cash and Matty Target, the way they've played, would be supreme as a 3 in the back, better than what we were playing with 3 at the back last year. Maybe we bring in Courtney House, my favourite. Maybe put me in a good mood again. Put him in the middle of the defence. I know some people probably won't like that, but Courtney House is as solid as they come. Yeah, he can't pass the ball for toffee, but the 2 boys beside him can. So let them pass the ball. Let him stand in the middle and head everything away. Anyway, that's my folly for today. But it will be interesting, because I think we probably will see a change in formation, or if we don't, we see Jaden Philogene Bides come up, or we see maybe I don't know, Kane Hayden Kessler come up and start playing right wing, or we see, because it's. We're down to the bare bones in the winger department at the moment. And if Traore is out, we actually don't have any wingers.
They're not going to.
Sorry.
They're not going to do anything. They'll have to do more than El Ghazi will give us anyway. So just make that change and try it. Going back to what you said, they're not going to change the formation. It's a club-wide formation, as we said in the past.
I think they will. I think they have to.
Well, they might have to when it comes down to it, but. Throw these young guys in, give them a go, leave the formation the way it is. Finish out the season what we have, see if they're any good. If they're good, keep them there. If they're not, we know where we stand.
Well, Purslow did say he wanted people kind of stepping up at 18, 19 into the first team. So let's see it. There's
a lot of people we could see. We could see Louis Barry being thrown in there just for a game or two when we finally, either mathematically or in our own mind, decide that that's the end of it. Maybe those decisions will be made, and it'll be interesting to see, because we've got some good lads there. We've talked them up many times on the podcast. Give them a go.
I don't even want to discuss the last goal for Liverpool, just because, as I said, this is one of the very rare podcasts where I'm in bad form. I'm in bad form, guys. Do you know what? I feel like I should apologize because a lot of people have messaged me and said, do you know what? Love listening to podcasts because you've got a sunny disposition and you're always, keeping it on the positive side. Inside, I am positive. I don't know. Just today, I'm just a small bit ratty. So I do apologize for that. And normal service will resume, I am sure, with my positive disposition. But I suppose, look, the last goal was, lads, Emi Martinez was blocking marbles for that last goal. That save was something phenomenal. It was actually a shame that they ended up scoring. And to be honest with you, I've seen two replays or two behind, two still shots of just behind Trent Alexander-Arnold, how he scored that goal. That, what fantastic goal. But I don't want to go into it too much because it was a heartbreaker for me. It was a heartbreaker for the team. It was a heartbreaker for every single Aston Villa fan on Twitter. I think we just suck it up and said that we lost 2-1. Not going to blame Jaden or Jacob Ramsey for not getting out to him too quickly. He probably could have, but what he had to do to get that ball in there. Look at Ty Bracey's timeline, guys, and you'll see it. Mings is on the line. Martinez is there. It literally, he had one place to put it, and he put it in there. Them's the breaks. Trent Alexander-Arnold, saviour and hero again. Put him on the plane to Euros.
What was he doing there? Why was he there? That's what I can't get my head around. Trent Alexander-Arnold popping up on the left wing.
Yeah.
That's just Aston Villa luck, isn't it?
Absolutely.
The guy hadn't kicked the ball out of his way in 6 months, and then does that to us when we turn up there in injury time at 1-1. It's heartbreaking. And I felt very sad. Felt very sorry for Emi Martinez because he's pulled off 2 world-class saves for both goals. Yeah, and your heart goes out to him because he just deserves so much more from those around him to go and do the hard work as well. Quick note on Jacob Ramsey. A big fan of him.
I love him.
I'd love to see. I don't really want to see him. He looked like a fish out of water playing out in that wing. He just couldn't get into the game at all. Keep him in his natural position. Bring on the players you should bring on and get those young fellas through. That's. If yesterday has taught me nothing, I think that's what we got to do now for the rest of the season.
Well, I think he brought on who he could bring on, to be honest with you. I know, look, pick your poison between Keenan Davis and him. I think the big problem here is that we're all a small bit kind of going, why did we bring on Ross Barkley? The opportunity was there for something else to happen, and probably that's where Jacob Ramsey comes in. But for me, you look at who we had in the bench. Take out the 3 guys we brought on, Keenan Davis. Then we had 4 defenders. We haven't had 4 defenders in the bench this season. The options really were limited. And yes, look, I'm sure if you were to ask Dean Smith, would it have been better to bring Keenan Davis on as a winger? Maybe he might have said yes. But I think at that stage we were going to 4-5. We were 4-5-1 for most of the second half anyway. At that stage, definitely when Ross Barkley came on, we were 4-5-1, and we were there for a draw. Specifically, I think we were there for a draw after they scored. And look, I don't begrudge that, or I don't think that was a bad way to look at it from Dean Smith's point of view. Yes, you can say this is the worst Liverpool team in decades, but I remember a Liverpool team under Roy Hodgson. So that team is a hell of a lot better than the team under Roy Hodgson, and they still have one of the best strikers in the world. They brought on one of the best passers of the ball in the world in Thiago. They brought on probably the best African player in the world at the moment after Trezeguet. And they brought on horses that we couldn't compete with.
Yeah, and I know we've got to look at it a little bit on the glass half full size. We're only 2 seasons back into the Premier League, yet we've had some amazing results this season. We're safe. We've got no worries.
Yes.
We're missing our talisman, yet we nearly got a draw against the champions yesterday. There's a lot of positives here. There's a lot of people calling for Dean Smith out, which for me is just it's not going to happen. Regardless of what anybody says, there's another season there for Dean. That season for me is make or break. And where the make or break comes from is who we sign in the off season. So regardless of what their opinion of them is, you're going to be looking at Dean Smith next season. Get used to it, get behind them, and get behind the lads. That's the way I'm looking at it.
And Dan Bardell said it on the view that, look, games like yesterday and the fact that we had to bring on who we brought on, and even the fact that we're saying, why don't you bring on Keenan Davis, for all as much as I actually think he's a really good guy. I don't want Villa to sell him again either, but 1 goal in 50 odd appearances, you know, and we're saying he should definitely have been brought on. I understand why after the Fulham game, I would have liked for him to come on as well, but that's the difference. They bring on Mane, a Golden Boot shortlisted player, you know. They bring on Thiago Alcantara, Champions League winner. You know, we bring on a 19-year-old kid. We bring on a guy that's on loan from Chelsea that everybody isn't too happy with, and we bring on, you know, El Ghazi. In fairness, had a great month of December. So them's the differences, and they are the differences that we're seeing at the moment with between the top clubs and us. And when we go and we strengthen this not even the spine of the club, I'm even saying strengthen what we have, bring in, you know, a goal scorer. Like we've said it before. Ooh, hit my microphone. We said it before, I think, on this podcast. Somebody like, I don't know, Andres Silva from Eintracht Frankfurt, he's scoring goals for fun. We can attract guys like that. I know we can. Yeah. And I know that, like, the club is in a good spot and it has money. Somebody like Viktor Tchankov, I've talked about him before, from Dynamo Kiev, absolutely rapid player. It's Jack Grealish on the right-hand side. He would be super for this club. And maybe you bring in the cherry on the cake, you bring in the big destroyer and check the carry in middle of midfield. And hell, go for it. Patrick Berg, a passing deep-lying midfielder as well there, would be on the cheaper side. I'm going to go nuts on the transfer stuff because I have literally, and they're the 4 guys I want. Okay, I'm going to say it. They are my 4 guys that I would love in this club. I'm going to nail my colours to the mast. I think that they're all going to be 4 brilliant players. I don't know if they're going to come to Aston Villa. This is all fantasy stuff. But if I was Dean Smith in the morning, I think you could have a good shot off those guys and you could bring them in. And look, Tammy Abraham wouldn't be a bad second choice either if we were to go for him up front too. There's going to be strengthening. This team is going to get better. This is, and for me, I'm finishing now on a positive because I've got my second win, guys. I got my second win after having my rant earlier on. We've got great owners. They're going to tune up the stadium.
I've one more negative before you finish that I'm not going to let go and say it either. Kobach pulls McGinn back on the end line early on in the game. Free kick, no yellow card. Whatever, 20 minutes later or 40 minutes later, whatever it was, Douglas Luiz does it, yellow card. Okay. Nowhere near the goal. Double standard.
Konsa did it, yeah.
But whoever it was, the double standards completely. We need to be calling out these referees on their decisions because it depends what team you're playing for, whether you get decisions. Also, they went to take a quick free kick yesterday. One of our players stands in front of it, yellow card. They're not giving them all season against us. All season, they're doing it, and not one yellow card. The minute we do it, yellow card. We need to be saying we want consistency. If you're going to do it, you do it all season. You do it against us. You do it for us. That's all we want is fair play. And we're not getting fair play off these referees. We're not getting fair play off Sky. Since when does a match between Aston Villa and Liverpool become about Jamie Carragher and are you watching Gary Neville? Nobody gives a fuck if Gary Neville's watching. I'm sick of it. Absolutely.
That was a load of bollocks. Yeah.
It was completely disrespectful to us. We deserve better. We deserve better from the referee. We deserve better from Sky. We deserve better from the cameramen to show other angles. They pick and choose which angles to show replays at, and they pick what replays to show. It's abysmal, absolutely abysmal, and we're just a poor relation. They need Liverpool in the top 4 to be selling subscriptions. I've no doubt about that. They need Man United in the top 4 to be selling subscriptions. So for me, it's no surprise that they get the decisions, but it was a big surprise yesterday that offside was given. But then again, the big
they've been given all year, and you see that's the thing, Paddy. They've been given all year, so that's where the
preseason. Oh, they had to, yeah. But the big question is why they're looking at Matty Cash. We need answers for that, and we should be writing to Mike Riley going.
Well, not me and you. Explain yourself for the football club. Well, we can if you want, Paddy. We can write ourselves if you want.
Well, I wrote to Mike Riley before Christmas. He never replied to me, so I won't be writing to him again. I did, yeah.
It wasn't the Christmas card.
It wasn't the Christmas card. No, it wasn't.
Do you know what? I've got washing on the line. This is the best way I've ever ended the podcast. I've got washing on the line. I can see drops of rain outside, and to be honest with you, getting my washing in before work tomorrow is more important to me than discussing Mike Riley at this moment in time, because I'm sick of discussing VAR. So everybody, thanks so much. That's the weirdest way I think I'll ever end the podcast. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. A demoralizing defeat in the embers of the game yesterday. You can always catch Paddy on @VillaPaddy. You can catch us on @LoveMcGrathPod. For anybody that watches on YouTube, or for anybody that's listening to the podcast, we'd love a subscription on YouTube. If you only watch on YouTube and you don't listen to the podcast, please subscribe on your podcast provider as well. All these little things cost nothing. They help us immensely, absolutely immensely. And we really appreciate everything you guys already do for the podcast. We have some news as well about the podcast coming out during the week, so keep your ears tuned to this channel. Anyway, look, we've got a bit of time to regroup. I was beginning to talk myself into a better mood. This little therapy session after my bad form at the start of the podcast helped it. I really got to run because it's going to bucket down on my clothes. Thanks everybody for listening, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.
And I forgot the bloody ending again, didn't I?